Alrighty, you know what that tune says. It says it is Tuesday, yes, and it is time for Master Force Radio, coming to you live from WVRO Soul. And do we have a show for you today? As you already know, it is First Tuesdays. And on First Tuesday, we talk about relationships. It's all about relationships. However, you know, before we get into that, we have to check in with our very own Mother Mecca, and find out what she is going to tell us about the cosmic weather and what it is we need to prepare for this week. Mother Mecca, you there? Where are you?
Yes, I am.
Hey,
Hey,
how
how
are
are you?
you? I am wonderful. So good to have you today.
Yes. Well, hello, it's Mother Mecca 115 with today's weather report. Before I get started, I always like to check in with you, see what's going on. I have to be motherly and let you also know how I felt this last week, with everything going on with the Lionsgate portal. You know that that's still open, right? It was a lot of fire and water in our planets and not much air at all. We talked about that last week. So what I did was I made sure that I was breathing. You got to breathe the center, you got to journal, and you got to get outside in nature. I literally was out there today. I put my feet in the water. So you have to do those things to ground yourself and make sure that you're understanding what's going on, because moving on to this week and what has been going on since the last time I talked to you, you know that we're still in Mercury, right? Mercury is still in Leo because this is the season. But with this Lion Gates portal, with it still being open, I want to talk to you just a few seconds about that. So yesterday was August 1st. And with that's starting our month out uh to be really, really, it can be a blessing for us, right? So I believe that in this month you will finally start from you'll finally start to see all of your manifestations coming together, because I hope you did something with that new moon that we had. It was so beautiful. This is the month of great opportunities, more life force energy. I'm gonna tell you about that energy. More creativity, more inner peace, more breakthroughs, more answers and awareness, and your path will be clear. It is time, it is time, it is time to get focused. But before we celebrate all of that, are you really ready for this Mars, Uranus, and North Node conjunction? Because even if you're not, it is here. And I know that you are feeling all of that energy. This astrological alignment will make a big, big, big wave for all of us on the earth, because this energy from this conjunction is very, very, it's super powerful. Mars is the planet of action. Uranus is geared towards new possibilities, and then the North Node is bringing about all that karma and destiny. So we can have good karma, and then we can have that karma that we just really don't want to see. So it was the highest peak. It was at the highest peak of impact on Sunday, July 31st. But you know that we're still feeling a lot of that energy 2 days later, which is, today, Tuesday. So the second. And all that energy is still going on. And I know some of you don't even understand because you didn't even know about this conjunction. Now, because this conjunction happened, it's creating a time of heightened energy. I know you may feel sometimes that gives us anxiety because we don't understand where the energy is coming from. So it's intense. Sometimes we may be impulsive. So even if your children are being impulsive, it's better to just slow them down, because this energy is happening. It's not something that they're doing. It's initiative, enthusiasm, inspiration, and instability too. So you may feel one way at one moment, and in the next moment you don't know why you're feeling the way you feel. You may feel a push to get something started, on a new project, you need to be on the lookout, because there is a possibility of more accidents, disasters, and even violence at this time, because a lot of people don't know what they're going through, and a lot of people don't believe in this, and because they don't believe in it, they're not noticing, and they're not taking out the other time to ground themselves and watch out for these things. The true reason the conjunction is heavier is because it's also in Taurus, I'm sorry. It's also in Taurus. And then the theme of Taurus, it relates to your finances, which upsets people. It sets you off. Land, houses, clothing, gold, jewelry, and other possessions. So that makes like I said, many people defensive and irritable, because they don't understand really what's going on. Now, furthermore, we had, with the planets being in conjunct with the North Node, the impact is strengthened, because the North Node is like, it makes the conjunction move. And so we may feel like our souls are moving, and then it may also move the entire society for it. We can't stand, we want to stand still, but we're not going to be able to, because it's going to push us regardless. So the whole society, you may see the whole entire society moving forward. And along with all of this going on, we still have 5 planets that's in retrograde. So this conjunction is still affecting us. It'll be affecting us all well into August. Now, on August 5th, which is in 3 days from today, the moon's opposition should help. The opposition of the moon, it should help it fade a little bit. It should help some of that energy go down. You may feel a little bit calmer. So I know you can't wait to get into August 5th, so we can find a little bit more relief. Now, I'm hoping that hearing about the conjunction and everything helps you understand why you may be feeling the way that you're feeling, and the way that you have felt since July 1st, July 31st, because that's when it was at its peak, because that's when it all like really, really aligned together. But I also would like to tell you about today, which is today's destiny card. And today's destiny card, drum roll please, is the Jack of Diamonds.
Yeah.
So, the Jack of Diamonds, Jacks are goofy though. So the Jack of Diamonds though, but I love that with the Jack of Diamonds, it represents younger people, business minded, creative thoughts, and it often helps salesmen promote some products and ideas. Excuse me. And it involves the world of business and finance. So if you're a person, well, even if you're not a person in that field, you can play a major role. It can play a major role in your life when this card is present, which is today, because you can manifest the qualities for yourself. So you got to kind of go into those things of being how you feeling about promoting yourself. For this reason, like the Jack of Diamonds is considered to be the card of great financial success. So get going on that today, so you can help yourself with that. Promote what you're doing, promote what you're selling, be creative in your own businesses, help out, with that. If it, and just live and go to the next level with that. And as always, I would like to I pulled a card for us, and it's telling you one step at a time. This is the healing and energy oracle, because we don't understand that a lot of the planets, all of this is giving us different type of energy. So that's why I like to read the healing energy oracle cards. Now, it's one step at a time. I see the mountain ahead and dedicate myself to taking one small step at a time. I make progress by staying focused on the present moment, the current task. Thus, I regain my ease of living. That definitely will help us with all the conjunction going on, with the retrogrades going on, with being in Leo. And what I decided to do in this Leo season. It's just with that, because they are roaring loud. So I'm just randomly picking Leos and I'm just showing them gratitude and I'm just thanking them for being who they are, because that's going to help me get through this Leo season, honey. So don't forget, I am Mother Mecca 115. You can find me at Mecca Mecca. You can find on Facebook Mother Mecca 115 LLC, on Instagram. I have started updating my TikTok. And as always, you can text me at 708-253-8795 for your destiny and your new moon reading, because in Leo, because you still want to know what's going on as the moon is waxing. And I love you like no other. Back to you, Moot.
All right, Mother Mecca, thank you. And yes, my Jack of Diamond granddaughter is celebrating her 12-year-old solar return today. And baby, when I tell you she is amazing, oh, that's already my business partner. Do you
I
hear me?
know that's right.
Love those Jacks. Thank you. All
Thank
right, Mother
you.
Mecca, we'll talk to you next week. Thank you
All right.
so much.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Have a good rest of the day. All right, now we have our marching orders, okay? And you have to really, Mother Mecca gives us a general reading. We really encourage you to get your natal charts done and find out how this energy is affecting you personally. Okay? It does make a difference. We're not doing this just for entertainment, okay? All right, so now First Tuesday, we gonna talk to my girl and Master Force coach, Teresa Lugo, and we're gonna be talking about relationships. Now, here's what's different about today's conversation. You know how everybody's so caught up in what person they gonna love and looking for their soulmate and their twin flame. Well, Teresa and I are going to talk a little bit more about what it means to really, really love inside of our family, our friends, our siblings, our community, because all of that makes a difference. It's not just that one person that you're looking for, but how do you have solid relationships all around you? So let's get it. Coach T, you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey,
Hello there, Moon.
hey, Teresa, thank
I'm so
you.
excited. Thank you for
I
having
love
me.
you that you can bring some Puerto Rico to the house. Come
That's
on.
right, girl. This is how we're doing this today. I love it. I
Yes,
love it. What an honor. And I love talking about relationships, something that's so
yes,
important in the world today, especially with so much pain. And I was just talking to you about that, the energy that's been like going on for over a month or two. It's been very heavy.
yes, yes.
So,
Well,
yeah.
before we get into that, you have to let my audience know about you because you know I could take for granted that everybody knows you like I do, but they don't. You know.
That's true.
So tell us a little bit about yourself so that they can know why I love you so much, and then we can get into our conversation.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I am Teresa Lugo, executive life coach with Master Force. I've been a coach for over 12 years and I got recertified in 2020. I felt the need because of the energy of the world that was happening with the pandemic, and I was feeling like I needed some extra push. And what I did was challenge myself to grow. I think that's what I do as a Cancerian woman. I always challenge myself to grow in those areas. I'm a mother of two wonderful children. My daughter is an amazing restaurateur in LA. Her restaurant is Swingers Diner and West Hollywood. And my son is this amazing IT guy here in Chicago. And I'm just so blessed to have them be my master coach. I
Yeah.
also have three wonderful grandchildren that just helps me to just grow in such a way that just energizes them to grow, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We grow together and it's such a beautiful relationship. So I'm really grateful for that. And so I assist others in finding their true purpose in life, assisting them in getting rid of the roadblocks that's holding them back from being this incredible person that God in the universe had ordained them to be, right? So through trauma, through pain, we sometimes find ourselves stuck, and it helps to have someone to talk to and process with and realize that you're not alone and you can do this, right? You can do this, you can get through it. So I'm excited about the work that I do. I also work with teens, which is my favorite because they're so open and they're so ready for change.
Yes.
you know, so yeah, I'm just a sucker for love. At the end of the day, it's all about love, you know? So
Hmm.
that's what I stand for in this world today. So
Well,
thank
you know, one of my favorite conversations about you is how we met,
you. Mm,
and that's what always brings me back to relationships with you, because there was a show that we were hosting on Ignite Your Soul Connection, and I believe that you called in on that show,
that's
and
correct.
at the time you had your father just died, or
Yes.
yeah, yeah, your father had died, and you were really working to get over that. Do you remember that
Oh
conversation?
my gosh, do I remember that like it was today?
Yeah,
Oh my goodness. I
yeah,
am so grateful. So
yeah.
grateful.
And so one of the things that, I've told you, I said I felt like your father is what brought us together.
Yes. Yes.
And so I love the synchronicity of our relationship, because you did not have to be listening to the radio or to our podcast that day.
Exactly. Yeah. I know for sure. I actually wrote it in my book, which we'll talk about in a minute, but I actually included that in my book because I wanted people to see that when you are in that journey, when you're in the mud, in the trenches, and you call out to God to help you, to show you the way because you don't know what else to do, he'll put someone in your life to say, hey, come here, I got something for you. God sent me with this gift for you. And I think for me, you were that gift.
Mm-hmm.
And I so appreciate that. I mean, I treasure that forever.
Yeah, and in many ways, and this is what I love too, that God has shown me early in life, that even though you say I'm a gift to you, it's mutual.
Mm,
I love who you've been for me and who your family is for me. I mean, I'm kind of like part of the family. You know what I'm saying?
yes.
It's that real for me, and so I thank you for allowing me to participate with you and your family. Now, what you didn't say is that you are one of 12 siblings. Did you say
Right. I was going to say, you better thank me for allowing you into my village.
that? You didn't have to have anybody come show up at the party if your sisters and brothers came.
Okay, girl. Wow. Yes, and thank you for the work you've done, even in my family. I mean, we had some work to do in our own family. You've touched a few of their lives with the work that you have presented to us, and we're forever grateful to that relationship with you.
Mm.
Um,
I just marvel at that. I just, and that's what I'm saying, for you to reach out to me, and then for us to now have this 12-year relationship and the depth that it is, it's
yes.
really, it's just very, it expands me too, Teresa. So just know it's not just me to give to you. You are a gift to me, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I want to say though that when I was supposed to meet you, you invited me right away over to your home in Hyde Park.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember right before leaving my home, Spirit spoke so clearly and said, you have to bring a gift to her. She's a queen. She's the queen.
Mm.
And I'm like, wow, I had never heard those words in my spirit. And I went back upstairs and I grabbed this beautiful scarf I had and I put it in the bag and I came to you with that. And it was the beginning of me understanding the gift of what God was presenting to me and will present to me as I go forth in life.
Mm-hmm.
Really being able to appreciate the people that God puts in your path and really protect that relationship. Because you and I have been through a couple of situations where, let's say because of whatever that reason is, I have had to look at myself and come back to you with, look, and I apologize because that was not my intention, and you're like, well, that's what happened though, right? So I was able to grow through that too, like, so God really had a bigger plan for us, girl.
Yeah,
We
and
messed up.
I really want to acknowledge you for that because of the many girlfriends and coaches that have walked away from me inside of me not even understanding why you are one of the only ones that have said, but wait a minute, we're not done. What is it? What do we need to do to get back on track? Tell me what it is. And you were able to hear that request and then not put the responsibility on me. You took it on for yourself. And not
Yes.
only did you grow your relationship with me, but you were able to grow your relationship with other people around you because you actually changed your behavior and your perception and how you should behave. So that is huge, Teresa.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah,
It's
and I just
important.
want you to know that I don't take that for granted. And I remember when we were going through that, and I remember my son saying to me, he said, "Man, this is really hard for you." I said, "Yeah, I really love her. I love her, and I know that I have to take a stand here."
Yeah.
And so I appreciate you doing that work. It does make a difference for where
Yeah.
we are right now.
Yeah.
And we continue to be for each other.
Yeah, and I think that's the gift that I keep on giving in my
Yeah.
coaching because even being number 11 of 12,
Mm-hmm.
um, there's a position I play in this family that it could be rough. You know what I'm saying? There's so many things that are said and expectation, it could be very rough. And I choose to stand for love no matter what
Mm-hmm.
and protect myself through the process. Don't mean I have to lay down and take it. We ain't talking about that. But certainly stating the obvious that myself, I've done a lot of work around my behavior pattern, my inner child, my little sister syndrome. I can't even say
Mm-hmm.
it anymore because I don't even want to say it.
Right.
Okay. I don't even want to go there anymore. But yeah, I mean, to actually go through those things and still stand like Jesus stood. Jesus stood for love.
Mm-hmm.
He got whipped, spit on, lied on. Ugh. He healed. And he was all that. And he's crucified on a cross, right? So those are examples of what we as healers or people who stand for love will go through.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to get that because if we don't get that, then we're going to continue to feel that because it's coming.
Or we think that, the other side of not getting that is that we point outside of ourselves and expect the world to change without us doing any of the work.
Exactly, because that's what I was going to say. It's pretty interesting
Mm-hmm.
because I feel that way too. I feel that those are also triggers for me, right? So if there's a reaction inside of me of something that's going on in one of my relationships, that is something that I look at. Like, okay, what inside of me attracted that?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything inside of me that I need to look at around that?
Yeah.
And it's pretty powerful when you look at it that way, you know?
And that's good work because Teresa,
Yeah.
when you think about it, you're one of 12, and imagine that you didn't have the concept of the mirror work growing up, but as you look at your siblings, you can see how each one of them fed into you being who you are and providing the strength that you are, because you're a businesswoman before you're a coach.
Yes, yes,
You know, so
yes.
talk a little bit about that, because that's huge, you know, to be able to use your siblings as part of your training ground.
Yeah. So, yeah, my parents had so many children that um, they instilled in us the importance of working, the importance of making money, and the importance of giving back to God or to the needy. Those are three very important things that they taught us. And as I got older, I had my children, or my daughter, I think at the time. Then, yeah, then my son. I started my business, clothing retail, and because my brother, the oldest, was also in retail, he had supermarkets. I found that I wanted to be like that. I wanted to do what he did. And I actually worked for him for a short time just to feel what that felt like. And then I went on my own journey of opening my first retail store in Oak Park, Illinois. And then 4 years later, opening a second one right next door for the younger girls. So I had one for the moms and I had one for the younger girls. And I ran those stores for over 16 years,
Mm-hmm.
which turned into something incredible because at that tail end, when my father died, I went through a really spiraling downward depression. Something inside of me, I felt his last breath, right? That's really the
Mm-hmm.
story, and it's in my book. I won't get into that, but what I would say is that it it empowered me to really, um, how do I say, to really decide that there was something bigger pulling at me. So it wasn't like, oh my God, I need to go see a psychiatrist, let them drug me up because I'm going through something. It was more like, I wanted to hear, thank God I read the book Conversations with God. And I started to think that I needed to hear from God. I started to think that maybe God is showing me something. So I opened up to the possibility of that. And he started downloading these things to me. Well, what happened was I ended up closing my stores and helping women in their closets. So I
Yeah.
was, remember, and I was pegged the closet coach from my
Mm-hmm.
other coaches in my class through Masterforce.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found was women who would not let go of their clothes. So I mean, we're dealing with 5 closets, right? And I'm thinking, I go in, let's go to work. We're gonna get rid of, and they're excited, and then all of a sudden they're crying. No, 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 you can't touch that. Oh, no, 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 that's no, no, no. My father gave me that. Oh, no, 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 and it was very emotional. So
Teresa,
yeah,
listen, I remember when you, you
we
know,
ain't talking about you.
when you came to help me with my closet when I lived over in the park, and I said, wait a minute, you can't take that dress. And I called my daughter-in-law in, and you told her, you said, wait a minute, don't you come in here. This is between me and Moot, and
Yep.
and I got it that she's attached to this dress that's 20 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is going in this bag.
Yes, yes.
And
That's,
I
and I
think
love
Akua
that.
came over that day too. You know?
Yes, the core did come over.
But
Beautiful goddess
baby,
herself.
I was in tears about a dress. Okay.
Yes, yes. That's so true. Wow. And I remember, I think the most magical thing that happened that day was, I also studied feng shui, and you had a closet that was on one side kind of closed, and you were never opening it. It was blocked by other luggages and books and stuff like that. And I said, okay, let's open that up. You're like, no, no, that's my writings, that's my books. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. And we're going to open it up. And we ended up opening the area up, and I saw these great books, and I see all these notebooks and your writings, and you're like, oh yeah, this is this. And you just lit up. Something in you lit up. You
Mm,
remember that moment? And I'm like, wow.
yeah.
And I took a moment to really just honor you in that moment, and in that moment of wow, of you really acknowledging yourself for the work that you had done and are doing. And then we ended up, I said, okay, let's go now. You were like, where are we going? I said, we're going to the thrift store. You need a bookcase.
Right. And I think we were, I think we started thrifting once a week because you were like, now you have to, now that I've gotten rid of all of these clothes that you know that I don't want you to wear, you have to go and get some clothes that you can just pull out and get ready to go. And that was such a blessing for me because that started my whole thing about going. You know, it's like, what can I put in my suitcase? Because I was always on the go after that.
Oh yes, I tell you, I love the work that I do. I miss it actually. You know, I'm a fashion queen,
Yeah.
um, but I haven't really been doing much of that. And but when I come in town, you know, I got my nieces. We were here yesterday. I was like, okay, we're doing closets today, and they're looking at me like, what? I'm like, yep, let's go. Let me see what you got, and we just love it. I mean, you know, it's done with
That's
love.
such a service. I mean,
Ah,
if people
good.
only knew, and I probably need to actually have you the next time you're in Chicago, have you come back because one of the things that was so cool about what you did for me was you helped me to begin to formulate a style. You know, like I have people that I love, like they, like when I see Shalonda Bowler. I mean, she, everything is just fit right to her, and you know that's kind of what you began the work you started doing with me, and I've kind of gotten away from it. I think it's because of COVID, and we can wear sweatshirts and sweatpants and t-shirts all day,
Right, right.
and we just do Zoom meetings, you know.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that part of it. When I was doing the work for the women that allowed me to do the work,
Hmm.
it's an honor for me to go shopping with them, or I go alone, and you know, it's an hourly rate, and I come in with all these wonderful outfits, and they're like, "Oh my God," you know, and it's so much fun, and to see the shift though, the shift of that moment when they're like, "Oh my God, I didn't think I could wear this."
Yes.
I had a client that I went to her house on Michigan Avenue, and she opened her closet and she had 5 things in there. And I was like, oh, okay. So are we working with this today? She goes, yeah. I said, okay. Is this all of your clothes? And she said, yes. I said, okay. And then I got quiet because I always get quiet to allow the customer to feel if they want to share, and if not, then we'll just move on, right? And so she told me, she says, you know, my ex-husband used to say that I was ugly all the time.
Mm.
So I just wore these 5 things to work all the time.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the kind of work that this is. It's not just clothes, right? It's
No.
it's more emotional feelings in that closet. I found the importance of studying what I was experiencing through you, Masterforce, and getting certified as a life coach because of these situations. And I'll never forget, I called my friend Jesse Garza, who's like Oprah's closet guy, and he's in New York, and he has an amazing company out there. And he takes care of women all the time. And I called him and I was like, Jesse, what in God's name? And he was like, wait a minute, what aren't, don't you have stores? What are you doing? I said, no, I closed my stores. You know, I'm now focusing on women and their closets. And he was like, girl, you better go get certified as a life coach. You need to be a psychiatrist. You need to do something because yeah, you got to get grounded in this work. And I'm like, boy,
What?
this is a lot more than I thought it would be. I was about to have me some fashion fun, you know.
Right.
So that's how I got certified as a life coach. And then I was able to, and I'm grateful because the story I told you about the client that had 5 things in her closet, I actually had just started getting certified. I had started the process of being a life coach. So I, had I not taken that class, I probably would have been like, where's the rest of your clothes? You know, like I would not have been able to handle it the way you should properly handle that
Hmm.
moment, you know?
To allow her to be in the space of where
Yeah.
she was instead of
Yeah.
making her feel a certain way about it, like judging it or
Mm,
making her feel less than, you know, because
exactly.
everybody has their own process.
Absolutely. And not everybody invites you into their home to see
Mm-mm.
their pain, or you understand? So I understood the assignment. Let me just say that.
Yes. And I'm
Okay.
sure you were able to bless her well with what you do, you
You
know?
should see her. She's so beautiful today. She still thanks me, girl. You don't even know what you did for me. I said, girl, it's a mutual thing. Relationships is a mutual thing if you allow it, right?
Yes, if you allow it. And that brings me to the conversation about your book. Because to me, Homeless Mind, when did you publish that? Has it been 2 years yet?
It was in 2020. Yes,
Wow,
I
okay.
know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, when you started working on that book, it was inside of the work that you were doing for your own healing, right?
Yes.
but
Yes.
but you were able to finish that work, and then people that read your book were able to look and see through the work that you did that they had work to do.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Moot. The people that called me crying.
Mm.
I had a woman cry. I didn't even know her through the messenger. She called me. Well, she texted me first, and I remember it was on a Sunday, and I was leaving the house, and she says, "You don't know me. I just have something to share with you. I read your book. I live in New York, and I wondered if you have a minute." So, of course, I said, "Absolutely." So, she called me, and we just started talking, and she started crying like instantly, and I just let her cry, and she said, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You don't even know me, but you have no clue what you did for me. I haven't talked to my son in over 3 years."
Mm.
And when I read that part where you stood no matter what your son was doing, you stood for that relationship and you stood for love. I
Yes.
had to call him. And she said, "Girl, you healed me. You healed this relationship." And I'm like, "Oh my God." So,
Mm.
right away I give it to God. I said, "Girl, yes." And God used me to do it, sweetheart. He used me to do it. And it was intense. And then it took quite a turn, though, because the next minute she said that her husband had hit her,
Mm.
and she was in this room. And I said, "Oh, are you okay? Do you need me to call the police?" And she goes, "Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. It's not the first time." And so it took a really big turn there for me. And I didn't put on my coach hat on. I just was there for her. I allowed her to feel and make sure she was safe. And she said she was safe. And she said that she knew and that she had a lot of work ahead of her, and her that my book, she was going to read it, I don't know, 5 times, just to let it sink in, all the different
Wow.
lessons that she was learning from my journey. I was like, well, praise God, thank you for sharing. And that's just one, girl. I don't even want to tell you. So yeah, I haven't, I'm not a big marketer, pushing the book out there, etc. I know that I'm asking God for guidance on that, universe to open the doors for that. So
Mm-hmm.
because it's not written by me, it was written through me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I'm very clear of that. Very clear of that. So,
Well, yeah, and that, here's what's interesting, right? A lot of times, the fact that this person could reach out to you and share with you, it's
yes.
only because you're in this stage of your book. If you have millions of copies, you're not as accessible. So
Yeah.
sometimes we go through the ebb in
Yeah.
order for, God to really get to the people that really need this work, because they too have things that they need to do next.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
sometimes, there's a filter on who reaches us or where our work gets to. And it's not, because we're not worthy or anything, but everything is not for the masses.
Exactly. Exactly.
The masses aren't doing this work. So,
Yes.
it's a select few, and we don't want to get lost in those people that are just for the entertainment or, whatever that stuff is, right? So it'll get out
Absolutely.
there. But what you just said, because I hadn't heard that testimony, because you have so many different ways
Yeah.
that people can read your book. But the fact that she could read what you wrote and then call her son and reestablish a relationship with him just on reading your book says a lot.
Girl, you got me tearing up over here now.
Well, no,
Seriously.
that says a lot. And then the reason
Oh,
that she had to go through whatever she was dealing with her husband is to deal with whatever unworthiness she has to deal with. Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I would say that one of the hardest relationships that a woman can have is with her son, especially if you're raising him by yourself.
Mm.
Because at certain age, girl, they come and turn on you because their father is not present, because they haven't dealt with that
Yeah.
side of themselves, and
Mm-hmm.
they blame you. They may not say that to you, but there's in their voice and how they're talking to you and
But they
disrespect.
don't have the language exactly. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. They don't. Not only
Yeah.
do they not have the language, but for men, and in young men in particular, they are torn because on the one part they love their mother, they honor their mother, and then at the same time they're trying to figure out, well, why couldn't my mother have my father here? What did
Yes.
she do that was so wrong that I don't have a father?
Yeah.
So sometimes they don't have the language to
Yes.
talk about it, so it comes out in aggressive ways or passive aggressive ways.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
mm-hmm.
So I can hear how she didn't have a relationship with him, and but one thing I've learned, and I think God is and I wrote that in my book, is that I learned that if I didn't take a stand for my son,
Mm-hmm.
then the streets was going to be his next option.
Yes.
And that's unacceptable.
Totally unacceptable.
That's my guiding light. That's my everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to humble myself as his mom to have that conversation with him, because our parents, my parents, was girl, you disrespect that household, you're out. They didn't care if you landed on an orbit somewhere. They don't care if you landed in the prostitution. I mean, obviously they don't wish that upon you, but what else is there on the streets but negative stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm grateful that I was in that position to hear God say, you're his only hope.
Mm-hmm.
That's your son, you know, and I share that with the world because I want men to understand that that is our job, to take a stand for our children even when they act a certain way, because it's just pain. That's all that's there. It's pain and suffering that they've been holding on to, maybe sometimes by the way we spoke to them. Some of us are bullies. Sit down,
Oh,
roll over,
I
shut
know
your
many mothers who are bullies, and those mothers are bullies with their sons. And those
girl.
sons then become bullied to who? Other women.
Yes, girl.
Not to mention the defiance that wells up in them.
Yeah,
You can't tell me what to do.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. So,
Mm.
there's a lot of responsibility in these relationships that we really need to acknowledge and get help around. If we can't figure out how to do it, then ask for support. Call people that you can talk to. Hire a life coach. I think it's the most important thing. People don't realize, all of a sudden in the world, life coaches, like people are becoming life coaches because why not? It's the new thing. Oh wow, why not? But it's a very serious job. You're taking on people's lives and where they're feeling stuck,
Mm.
and you really have to be there to hold their hand and be with them as they go through the process. And it's a very painful process because change, acknowledging and humbling yourself is a painful process.
Yes.
And you have to be willing to go there. And me as a life coach, I find that I get people who attack me because they're not willing to do the work, right? So
Yeah.
then I have to do my work, do my clearing, and make sure that I could come back at them and say, okay, I see you. I see where you're at. I get it. So
Mm-hmm.
let's just breathe, right? Go into our breath. Let's just breathe and allow that to be whatever that is. And let's revisit this conversation. And then I let them go and I let them be and they journal, right? That's the next step. Make sure you journal, let that go, figure
Mm-hmm.
it out, so it's it's not the easiest job, but it's certainly a beautiful thing to have. I have my life coach. You're my baby girl forever. You're my life coach. And I appreciate you for that. And I also am a life coach to a few. And 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 I think about those people like Oprah Winfrey who has her life coach, and these people are amazing people. So it's not like you need a life coach. It's just should be that you should want one because it helps you to get through life and make decisions. Sometimes you're stuck, don't know how to make that decision, but when you're talking to someone that's standing in the gap for you as you're speaking, all of a sudden you come up with a decision. You hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you know what? I hear that. Yeah, I get that. Thank you so much. I'm like, okay, have a good day.
And I love that you say that, Teresa, because what we tend to do is we tend to have a great idea and we'll go and tell our friend, oh, guess what? I'm gonna write this book. And our friends, they love us, but they also know us, right? And they be like, "Oh, please, don't nobody want to hear that shit you going through. Don't nobody want."
Right.
If you write a book, then I'm gonna write a book. You
Yeah,
know.
that
And
is so
so,
good.
right, right.
So good.
All of a sudden, you just
So
like,
good.
oh, okay, and you don't go write a book because you all of a sudden you interpret that as you should not do it. So when you
Exactly.
get a life coach and you
Yeah.
say, "Oh, I'm going to write a book," they say, "Oh, what? Okay, first step is what we doing?
Yes.
You know, let's set up this time. What we doing? You
Yeah.
know."
And thank you for bringing that up because that is so powerful. It's a tool that anyone that's listening to this should put in their arsenal or in their bag right now is that whenever God gives you a download of an idea, if it's a book, if it's a business, I will use myself as an example. When I opened my first store, nobody knew. My
Yeah.
sister, who I love to pieces, Elena and I are tight as you have no clue. And my
Mm-hmm.
best friends, they all came to my this one address. They were like, "What's this?" I had champagne. I had my racks of clothes. They were like, "What is going on here?" I'm like, "Girl, this is my business. What are you talking about?" And when I opened my second one, the same thing. I just opened it and they're like, "What is this? Oh my God, you've been doing this?" And I'm, "Yep, this is my second store." And they're like, "Oh my gosh." And when I closed my stores, one of the things I did do also was I consulted small businesses and
Mm-hmm.
I would speak to people about this. Never tell others your ideas.
Yes.
Never. You want to know about law, then you speak to a lawyer. If you want to
Mm-hmm.
know how to, should I be a sole entrepreneur or should I get an LLC? Let's speak to a lawyer. If you want to know about fashion, then start doing some research, open the books, learn what's the hottest lines out there. Do your own work. But other than that, you shouldn't share anything you're doing because people don't get it. They will talk you out of it. You actually believe it. One of the things that people say a lot, I'll tell you what it is, because people will be like, yeah, that's right. Oh, you don't want to open another boutique. There's like 10 of them already.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you don't want to be a coach. There's like everyone's a coach right now.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what? I would say no one, because people buy into you.
That's right.
They don't buy your clothes, they don't buy your coaching, they buy you. Your energy, what you bring to the table is what people buy.
And you can't, we think the market is saturated with coaches, but here's the reality: we still need more of them. Do you
We,
see the condition our children are in? Do
yes.
you see the condition their parents are in? Do you
Yeah.
see the condition our schools are in? I
Wow.
mean, all of those people that I just mentioned require coaching.
Yes.
just to get through their daily life. Not that we haven't even talked about the grand scheme if they want to write a book or travel the world or start a business. No, I'm talking about just to get through their daily life.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that relationship with the parent and the teen, girl,
Yes.
that's where you lose them. You either gain your kids at that time or you lose them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a choice you have to make. It's like standing on the earth and then the other foot standing on a lily pad.
Yeah.
Dangerous place to be as a parent, and all the egoic back and forth stuff that goes on. I'm the mother, I'm the father, you're going to do what I say. And, it's like we're living in different times now. You can't have that with your child anymore because they will turn on you and you can't get a word in. And then they're going to find their own way. And sometimes their own way could lead to the greatness of them. And it also can be the downfall of them. Depends on how you, as a parent, speak to them in that process.
Yeah, that's really great, Teresa. I remember, I think it was just earlier, probably might have been Friday or Saturday this week, where I just said to a parent, at some point you have to let your child uh, go, like completely, like really, and honor them as a soul and not as your child, because
Mm,
they still have their work to do. So
mhm.
our children aren't here to please us. They're
Wow.
here to find out from their soul what their mission is and what it is that God had them come here for, or what they agreed to come here for. You may
Mm,
not know what that is as a parent,
yes.
right?
That's,
So for all of this do as I say stuff, that doesn't rack up.
and how about the decisions that these kids are making that are landing them in jail
Yeah,
or in the process, right? They
yeah.
didn't know. They say the frontal lobe of a teenage boy, I believe, is his strongest at 25.
Well, the brain isn't complete until 28.
28? Look at
Yeah.
that.
Yes,
Oh my
28, the brain,
gosh.
the last part, right. So you're making decisions about things that are going to affect you the rest of your life, and you don't even have all of your brain in place.
Right. And so what happens then, because as a mother, I write about that in the book, as a mother at that time, I remember being pissed at first, like, how dare you disrespect me and how I raised you. Now I'm looking bad. You know how the ego in a parent starts to creep up, like I'm looking bad now and I'm a
Mm-hmm.
good mom and now you're making me look bad and all this other. But I'm grateful that I was able, and I'm able today. I actually had a session with a parent the other day whose son is going through the system for something, and I spoke to her in a way that empowered her and her son. And
Yes.
she was like, "Oh my God, I never. Would you please, work with him so that we can empower him?" Because I said to her, the system will keep pointing to you the thing that he did, and now the pain he caused, and now what he's got to do to make things right, and how much he has to pay in court fees, and how much he has, and if he should slip, he's going to go into the system again, and this time he might go to jail, and then that's going to look. So it could be like a drawn out depressive conversation,
Yeah.
and actually land your son in jail excuse me, because we actually spoke it
Mhm.
into our existence,
And
right?
not only spoke it, we begin to imagine it. Come on.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And when her and I talked, she was like, I'm so glad I talked to you today. And I'm like, yes, get the book, right? She goes, I read your book. I said, okay, it's all right, fine. All right, well, maybe read that chapter again. But it's only to empower parents to take a stand with your son or daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Take a stand. There's pain in there, and don't tell your kids, I'm the owner of this home. You're gonna respect me, or you're out of here, and all this other stuff. No, guess what? You've allowed over 1 million people into your home if your kids have a computer or a cell phone.
Mm.
So you have allowed a lot in that household. when we were younger, we had a phone call, a phone, right? And parents would answer it, and you were lucky to get that call.
If that's right, because if you didn't wash the dishes or take the garbage out yet or make your bed, you forget about any calls.
So it's a tough time for parents. It's a tough time, and I'm working on some classes right now for my platform, and I've talked to you about that because I think that that's the missing. Coaching is great, but it's also it takes a lot of time, and I feel like a bigger platform is what's necessary for people to be able to just say, you know what, I want to take a class in parenting, and I want to take a class in couples, and I've taken your classes. Oh my God, I've grown because of that. Hello. And I won't stop taking classes. I'm in a class now with Landmark, my second time.
Mhm.
Um, Only because I want to just sharpen myself as much as I can.
Oh yeah, you have to always keep growing. I really do. I know for a fact, and this is what I tell people that, even inside of being mentor coach to so many people, it's part of my work. Everybody is my mirror, so that becomes the work that I do. And I still go to classes too, or read books, or take seminars.
Mm, oh
Depending
my
on what's next. But I love how you are always focused on young people, and that's how I actually got started with Master Force, as you know, working with.
yes.
And the thing is,
Hmm.
we keep saying the children are our future, but for some reason we don't realize that the future that the present that we're living now is going to be a different future. So we cannot try to raise our children the way that we were raised. That does not work.
At
These
all.
are new souls, and they are here to teach us a new way. So part of that is us opening to receive so that we can learn from them, because the world is changing. It's different altogether now, but most of us don't even realize it because all we do is go to work every day and watch the news.
Yeah, and people, our younger generation, wow, I'm in awe. Sometimes the parents will look at me like, I don't see what you see in my kid, right? And
Oh,
I'm like,
right.
oh my God, I'm in
Exactly.
awe. I'm in
Yes.
awe of their greatness because I'm
Yes.
like, wow, if you can only see, our kids are different. Like we have different kids. Everyone has whatever, two, three, four
Hmm.
kids, five kids, and we want to group them together. Well,
And you can't do that. They're
yeah,
different.
their personalities are so different, and especially the empaths of the world, you
Mm.
know like my daughter is not the same as my other daughter. My other daughter is amazing. She's just a go-getter. But this one here, she's just lazy. And sometimes she's reading so many books, and she's got all these crystals, and she's got these flowers. She's got a plan. She's not taking care of her plan. And I'm like, okay, okay. So let's go there, right? So we talk about the difference of their children to honor that difference because, and sometimes I cry, girl. I can't help myself because
Aw.
I yeah, I can't because my my heart goes out to those kids that are so empathetic to the universe, to the
Mm.
earth, to
Mm-hmm.
Pachamama, to Mother Earth,
Mm-hmm.
to the whales, to the ocean, to the
And they
litter at the
feel it,
beach.
Teresa. They feel it.
Girl, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God. That energy is, and unless you understand that that child ain't out here trying to make a lot of money and do everything it takes to get that dollar, that you feel like you want to raise your kids to believe that money is everything.
Right.
Yeah, this world needs a balance of both. So
Yes.
be that is not wrong, but we also need the balance of the other, which is the love for others, the love for and the respect for others, and the respect for this earth, and willing to teach. And normally a lot of them become teachers. They're teachers, and they're healers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're sometimes the leaders of their family, you know and if
Well, I know most of us, if you and we were able to distinguish this, most of the earlier coaches that came to me when I first started were most of us were empaths and were considered the black sheep of the family,
Absolutely.
and we kind of found each other inside of doing our own healing work,
Yes.
you know. But now you see the young people, these young peoples are, they are visionaries and leaders in their own right, and we keep trying to have them go to school for to become,
Girl.
you know, what is that question, that what do you want to be when you grow up? Did
Yeah.
you say they don't even have their brain right? How you gonna ask me that?
They're not even figuring it out. And let's not even talk about the autistic children of the earth, our
Yes,
little crystal children that are on this earth and
yes.
here to, and it's like, oh, something's wrong with my son. He's autistic. Something's wrong with your son.
Mm,
You
mm-mm.
better quit playing. That's a special, bright being on this earth. They're
Yeah.
amazing. Like the conversations they have with you, and it's just so beautiful. I just love it. I love dealing with them and speaking with them, and creating with them and hearing them. And then like my girlfriend's daughter, she came to visit me here, and we went in the pool, and she was like, Teresa, what else are we gonna do, girl? Let's get our arms moving. Let's go. And her mother's watching us, and she's just like, girl, I'm in awe. I've not seen you.
Oh.
You don't even know what you're doing right now. I'm
Mm.
like, girl, we know we have each other on this earth. God, if we just kind of look at each other and say, we are interwoven into
Mm-hmm.
each other. We're
Yeah.
not separate at all. We're not separate at all.
Right. And we do feel each other's pain when
Yeah.
we're willing to actually acknowledge is the challenge is that we've been taught to be afraid of pain.
Mhm.
So we spend so much time medicating ourselves or isolating ourselves or avoiding things that make us feel, when actually that's how we know we're alive.
Yes.
We're
Yeah.
alive. So, all right, hold on just a minute before we go to our next question. I'll have to take a station break. This is
Okay.
Master Force Radio, and you are listening to WVRO Soul. We are here, and it is the first Tuesday. That's right. This is August 2nd, 2022. And let me tell you, we are having a fabulous conversation with author, executive life coach, and friend Teresa Lugo. And we are talking about relationships. But we are talking about not just those love interests, although that may come up, who knows. But we're talking about our family, our friends, our siblings, and our children, because they too matter. So we want you to listen to this and really get a sense that loving our family, honoring our family, really does add to our love. Right, Teresa?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So let me ask you this.
Hmm.
You've been working enough with people to know when you're working with your clients, how can you tell that they are disconnected from themselves or from their life?
It's interesting. So many different ways. So blame, right?
Mm-hmm.
Blame is like
Right.
one of the number one.
Mm.
Um, I would say not caring about the people around them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear it. I don't care. They've hurt me. I want to move on. I don't want to deal with it. Um, let's see what else I want to say about that.
But you know, that's really, if we really look at blame, because in
Yeah.
society, that's probably one of the things that we actually give a pass. We give people a pass on that too frequently. You know, like it's okay to blame. You know, like, you know, when something is wrong, no matter what, blame somebody else for it. But if it's showing up in your space, it's something you need to do something about, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Um,
So how do you work with your clients to get them to to take responsibility or look at their part in how things are going? Does that ever work out for you?
yeah, so right away, we go into our breaths.
Mm.
I always say that the key to understanding yourself is within yourself.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
I have friends that are Christians. I'm Christian. I'm everything. I'm spiritual. I can't even tell you what else I am, but I will say
I'm all of it too, Teresa.
one
Right.
of the things that I don't do is I'm going to pray to God. I'm going to pray to God. I got to pray to God. Please pray for me. Please, somebody pray for me. I just need you to pray for me. I need everybody. Because what I have found in my walk of prayer is that whatever that's meant for you to experience,
Mm-hmm.
sweetheart, no prayer can take away.
Oh.
Girl, that was one of the most eye-opening experiences I've had because I remember being mad at God about something, and I always believe that my relationship with God is authentic, and I will tell spirit that I'm mad, I'm very disappointed, and this is why. And then I'll hear an answer somewhere. It could be that same day, it could be that hour, it could be 2 days to come though, and it's like, well, this is why that happened,
Yes.
and I'm like, okay.
Yes.
So if you want that job, go get that job. See yourself in it. Feel it. What does it look like? What would you be wearing when your first day walking in there? Claim that thing. You know what I'm saying? Instead of, let me see, I got to pray to God and hope that I get that job. And I'm just going to pray. I'm going to call my grandmother. I'm going to call my mother. I'm going to call everybody to, girl, listen, you give it to God. Say, Lord, if it's your will for me to have this job, then so be it. I
Mm-hmm.
open my heart to receive it. I open my everything to walk through that door and own it, and that's a different kind of way of being. I find that, and I wrote this in my book, I have found that people that do that a lot are not really authentic about it. I don't know what that's about. There's an authenticity that's missing because they're giving what they want to happen for someone else to make it happen.
Okay, got it. So in other words, you know, I'm gonna ask you to pray for me because it's interesting too because when I um, first and prayer was a very strong part of my early life. It was like pray for everything, right? But what I noticed that when I prayed, usually spirit worked on me.
Mm-hmm.
Something in me was changed. But it
Mm-hmm.
seemed like when other people prayed, they were waiting for something outside of them to change. And
Mm-hmm.
that was very interesting to me because and as I tell people, I say, yeah, I don't, I don't ask people to pray for me, because I want the work to get done, you know, 'cause it's kind
Yeah.
of, you know, but
Yeah.
yeah, but it's interesting that sometimes we use prayer instead of actually doing the work.
Yes. Yes. And sometimes that's just old habits that you got from your parents and your grandparents. And again, please, let's get clearer. I'm not saying that prayer is not the answer. I'm not saying that at all.
Mm-mm.
I'm saying the exasperated version of it,
Mm.
the long withstanding of it, you know, believing that, something outside of yourself will eventually happen
Mm-hmm. Without you doing anything.
without you doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I was a victim of that. I was in church, girl, believing God for everything. I believe God, and I would come home and just say, Lord, I trust that you're gonna show me, and da da da, and I kept praying and praying, girl, as I was watching television, clicking away.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
thinking that if it's God's will, it's going to happen. And I believe that. So I was so confused, girl. I mean, I know I was confused.
But a
Uh,
lot of time we can't hear God because again, your distraction was clicking away. And
exactly.
even if God was talking to you or trying to get through to you, you're now distracted. You're not looking for an answer to come through you. It's
Exactly.
going to come through television. I don't know. You could be inspired by something on television. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just seemed to be an inauthentic way of being that prayer is what you do and then nothing else.
Yeah. I mean, I've met people that, want to do business with me, and we're going at it, and all of a sudden every time, every minute they're okay, well, let's just say a prayer. Let's just say a prayer. Let's pray. And then I swear it's like 9 times out of 10, that same person just does something to me or disrespects me in a way that I'm just like shaking my head, like, wait a minute, what happened to prayer? Whatever happened to
Ah,
that
yeah.
walk?
So, in other
That's what
words,
I'm saying.
dishonoring you,
Yes.
praying at the same time.
Yes. Or
Hmm.
dishonoring their family or their bosses and just being disrespectful. Come on. So I don't know. It's those there's the healing, right? The healing the inner child, healing that child that's been hurt in the past,
Hmm.
and really nurturing that relationship, because we are talking about relationships, and I think that that's where it all begins, because you know I can't give what I don't have for myself,
Hmm.
because the foundation of our relationship is comes from you. My relationship with you, Mo, comes from me, so my pain can reflect onto you. And unless you love me enough to stay with me and go through it with me and be loving enough to say, hey, I didn't like when you said that. I think you need to look at that. And then I say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. Because, 9 times out of 10, it's not like someone means to hurt you. It's just sometimes those triggers of the past or some ugliness that's still inside of us, that shadow work, it just kind of peaks and comes out. And we hope, we hope that there's someone on the other end that will, have empathy and compassion and still stay and stand for love in our relationship, right? And
Because sometimes I would think, wow, in certain relationships, I would think that the relationship was deep enough that why are we not still friends? How could that be
yes,
so easy to just walk away?
yes,
You know, and it's rare that you find someone that will take a stand for a friendship.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. And then there are relationships that you need to walk away from because you have taken a stand and you have dealt with it and you have been patient with it, but sometimes you have to move on so you can fill your cup
And
another
that's a
way.
whole nother, exactly, because a lot of times when we are inside of conversations of being people pleasers, and all of us have had to go through that, because we kind of grow up learning how to please everybody, right?
Yes.
And leave ourselves out of the equation.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I know for me, when I start feeling depleted, like the energy and the love that I have, when I start getting snappy and short with people, I know that I need to back off and I go back into my, journaling, or I get into my hot tub and just relax and see what's there for me. And 9 times out of 10, it's just me doing a lot of work for other people and not enough for myself, which I do
Hmm.
that very, very well, you know.
Hmm.
Um, so, constantly checking inside of myself is important too. My relationship with myself is as important as my relationship with God is,
Hmm.
because God resides in me. There's no building that I have to go to find God. I tap into that God within, because I know that I'm like not praying the way I would have been praying, or that I'm not tithing the way I was tithing, or there's things that I'm not meditating. I'm not breathing from my belly up daily that I used to do chakra clearings. My chakras are all off balance, especially in relationships. Let's say, for example, a woman just broke up with a guy, and if you've had intimate relationship with that person, even though you think that you broke up with that guy, there's still a spiritual connection there.
Yeah.
So if you feel like 2 weeks from there, you're finding yourself missing him and you want to call him and check yourself completely before you make that call, because it could be that you still have that spiritual connection, not so much that that guy was amazing and he's a big missing in your life,
Mm-hmm.
or she, right? Vice versa.
Yeah, because I don't think we take enough time. And I know for myself, in these last few years, I've been going through, um, after I did my second Saturn return and began looking at going through life too fast. It's like going through life too fast. What does that mean? Because most of the time we're just moving, and we're not grounded inside of what's happening and why is this happening. Why is it
Mhm.
happening here? And sometimes it takes tragedy or chaos. As much as that 2 years off with COVID was bothersome things, it was a blessing. It was
Yes.
a blessing. I was like, we need to do this at least every 5 years or so, just shut down the world so we can get back to what's important. Because I,
Yeah.
I believe we started realizing our children are important, our spouses are important.
Yes.
We've been spending too much time at these jobs.
Girl, you better say that for sure. Say that, especially fathers, the provider. And
Yes.
sometimes both of them are outside of their homes. One of the things that a cop in Oak Park told me, he said, do you know that between the hours of 3:30 p.m. and 6 p.m. is when a lot of kids are having sex and doing drugs and just going buck wild because the parents are not home.
Wow.
I was like, really? He goes, oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah. But
I
I
can
tell
see
you,
that.
I
Hmm.
think that has really cut out since that ringer. I don't know if you're hip on that ringer now.
Yeah, and I had an incident. There was an incident, right? Yes, the ringer. Yeah, baby. I see who coming in and out. Who is that? Right.
Right. So that's changed for a lot of parents, thank God, because you know, a lot was going on in those hours. A lot still goes on in those hours if your parents are not home. You have two parents out of the home working hard to make that mortgage, to make more
Hmm.
money, to have a bigger house, bigger car, another home in the summer home or whatever. Um, we don't realize that it's affecting your children. I want to say that's just a blessing. My sister and I had this conversation yesterday, and she said, I want you to know that I am so grateful for you sharing with me that because of your experience, and I was a hard worker. I had two stores, I had two children, I had a home.
Hmm.
I was a single parent, I had no help. So I did not give my children all of me at all. I expected them to have a room clean, expected, I was a sergeant. So
Hmm.
I told my sister, I said, when before her kids got into their preteens, I said, sis, I'm going to give you an advice and you take it if you can, but I'm asking you to really think about this. I said, you have three kids, and if you are able to, I would suggest you consider quitting your job and being at home. Maybe consider, starting a business at home or something, but you don't want your kids to not have you when they come home from school.
Hmm.
There's something beautiful that happens with that when the mom is cooking, and it's just a beautiful thing, those memories. There's
Yeah.
a peace. And
Yes.
gratefully, I mean, my sister is that person. She quit her job probably about 10 years ago,
Hmm.
and she's been a mom to her children, and they are three of the most amazing kids that I had the pleasure of calling my nephew and nieces.
And it is such a gift. I don't even know who talked us out of motherhood. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because that's what I feel happened. And here I am, uh, in my 60s, and I have so much freedom that I
Yeah.
can still do all the things that I was doing. You know what I'm saying? I say,
Yes.
people forget to tell us that there's freedom on the other end too.
Yes.
We're
Yeah.
trying to we're trying to get everything done, before we're 40.
Mhm.
No, as a matter of fact, it's been proven that the most productive years are between 60 and 80 because you have so many things put together now. You've learned so much. You've got your money. You've raised your kids. You've bought your property. So now, guess what you get to do? You get to create
Yes.
without worry. You don't have all these others. That's if you set it up right. But because we do so much, try to do so much at one time when we're young, what do? We destroy our health,
Yes.
right?
Oh
We
my
destroy
God,
our
girl.
health. So now when we get 60, whatever money we have, guess where it's going? To the doctor.
Yeah.
When actually you could have
Exactly.
just maintained your own well being.
But
So,
that's a part of loving yourself, isn't that? Wow. That's a part of being in relationship with self.
yes, being
That's
in relationship with your
huge.
yes, and if we don't take and this is why I think being at home too with your children, they get a sense of love and self importance when you're there with them. They
Yes.
matter, they matter enough for you to make a different choice to be out of the house.
It's so beautiful. I even gave this advice to a friend of mine. I mean, not to be home because she was a psychotherapist. So I knew she would definitely be in her downtown office. And what she started doing was she subscribed to some meal program that a box comes to your house and it gives you the ingredients as well as the
Oh
directions.
yeah, I've heard of that. Mm-hmm.
Girl, and she created this beautiful relationship with her kids at home. She'd get home from work at 6, but she opened that box and she would have them, one of them read while the other one was giving her the ingredients, and it became fun, you know. So,
Yes,
you
whatever
know,
opportunity that looks like, right?
yeah, it's creating that foundation, girl, that
Yes,
foundation. It's a
relationship.
100%. Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. Why do you think it's so important for people to heal the wounds that they received from their parents?
Wow. So important because there's a saying that's out there, and I'm probably not going to say it right, but I remember hearing this saying and I said, wow, right? It says, heal your inner wounds now so you don't continue to bleed on those that love you.
Oh, yes. That's a good one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, as a mother, I would yell at my kids because my mother used to yell at me. Let's
Mm-hmm.
go. Get your bag. Why aren't you ready? Why didn't you clean your room? You know, I had no knowledge of what I was actually doing to my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Zero.
Mm-hmm.
And now I could say that I was bullying my kids because I didn't know better. My mom spoke to me that way. So I kind of raised some nervous kids, like, oh, here she goes. Oh God, I got to get up you know, and that's what,
Fretful. We made them fretful.
but
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So the importance, how important that is, Ave Maria. Even in a marriage, you sound like your mother, you act like your mother, you disrespect
Mm-hmm.
your husband because mom disrespected her husband. So many different ways, so many different ways. There's no freshness in our relationship because we're so stuck in the past of what we saw growing up.
Yes.
Parents didn't show affection. So a lot of relationships have no affection. You might have sex in the bed when you lay down because obviously it sounds right, it feels right, but the intimacy, not much at all. But that's something that a woman has to tap into because it's funny. I was having this conversation yesterday because I found this woman on Facebook, a African American chick that I loved. I loved her. She was like a heavy set girl. She was showing people how to get in touch with their feminine side, and she was so sexy. And I was like, dang. First of all, she didn't look the part, but yet she was oozing sexy.
Mm.
And I was like, well, I've never heard that before. So right away, my mind went into, okay, maybe she has a pole. Maybe this is pole dancing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see a pole. So I decided that I wanted to join her class. I think it was like $40. So I show up at this location
Mm-hmm.
and she's there. There's about 7, 8 different women there. All of us there to learn to be sexy.
Mm-hmm.
And I pretty much wanted to understand what that really meant. I thought I was sexy outward, but I didn't feel it inward, right? So
Right.
watching her, she started the class, she put music on, and she started dancing. And we're just in awe of this woman. Oh my God. Watching her energy, watching her hand move. I mean, I was like, wow. And everybody, when she was done, was just like, our mouth was like on the ground, like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So it has nothing to do with how you look. It has everything to do how you feel. And
Mm.
then she asked us individually to get up now and do it yourself. So she didn't have us do 4 minutes. She just said, I'm going to give each of you 1 minute. And that's what happened. I got up, I closed my eyes, I felt that music, and I tapped into that divine feminine inside. Oh my
Yes.
God. So that's so important for a woman to tap into. And again, I empathize with women. I am a woman. So I'm not speaking because I could hear a woman saying, yeah, that's easy for you to say, but it's not easy if I have to work, I have to take care of the kids, I have to come home, and I have to be, good
Mm-hmm.
in bed or whatever, take care of my husband. But it's more about really tapping into the divine feminine within yourself
Mm-hmm.
because you have to find time to nurture that side of you.
Mm-hmm.
You and I both do that by going to a spa. We go to King Spa. I was trying to get there before I leave, and hopefully maybe tomorrow, maybe not. But
Mm-hmm.
I do that to tap back into that divine feminine goddess within myself
Mm-hmm.
because I know the effect I'm giving myself when I'm mean, when I'm being more masculine and ugly and impatient and unkind.
Yep.
There's no feminine energy oozing anywhere in that, you
Right.
know, and
Yeah.
it affects us on a cellular level.
Mm.
So, I get that we're busy women. I get it. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that find some time for yourself. You don't
Well,
have
well, or
it
or
all.
even create time for yourself because you may not be able to find it. You
Yes.
don't have to be serious about taking a stand for yourself.
No, girl, you better say that. Let me tell you what area I coach on. I
Mm,
coach to women, like my beautiful son and his beautiful girlfriend.
mm-hmm.
She's always working and he's, and they're trying to get it together. The house is a mess all the time. I said, I don't understand, not for 1 minute, why you don't have a cleaning service.
Yes, yes.
Something
You don't
so
have to do this yourself, right?
do you understand? I'm a closet coach. Do you
Mm-hmm.
understand the energy that's all in that apartment, that dust, that block,
Girl.
that anger that's there
Mm-hmm.
because no one's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
God forbid you should get some bugs around that. Some people get mice around that. Some people get roaches around that. Listen, you make enough money. Invest in your happiness at
Girl.
home.
Now, did they hear you when you said that?
Move. They have a cleaning service now.
Good.
She says she's so happy. She goes, girl, when I walk in my place and I smell that Lysol and it's
Oh, but here's what's interesting. I'm so glad that you do that, Teresa, because I do tell people about the cleaning services and about laundry
yes,
services
yes,
because we have been raised to believe that if we can't do that ourselves, something is wrong. You
yes,
know, why do we think we have to wear a Superman cape every day?
girl.
Every day? Okay.
Listen,
No, get a cleaning service, get a
yes,
laundry service, whatever
yes,
service you can get. If you can get somebody to come and cook, I used to have somebody come and cook. I used to have somebody come and cook once a week, and
that's
we can
beautiful.
spread it out, right? Prep. I have a masseuse come. I had a trainer come. Why?
Yeah,
Because I want to be able, when I'm at home, to be with my family.
that is so beautiful. Your time is precious. You can't get it back.
Precious.
You
Your
can't give it
time and
back.
your energy. That's right, Teresa.
You know, and I think about Oprah days with Susie Orman, and she would work with couples and their money and their
Right.
budget.
Yes.
And
Yes.
she would help them to see where they're spending too much and all this other stuff. And so I say that to couples because they're like, well, we can't afford it. And I said, okay. Do you have cable? Yeah. Do you have cell phones? Yeah. Do you have da da da? Do you go out to dinner? Yeah. Do you go out to drink? Oh yeah. We always see our friends at the bars at least every other
Mhm.
weekend. And then you have money to have your place cleaned.
Yes.
You have
You have
money.
to shift your priority.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is it. You have to shift
Yes.
your priority. And
Yes.
you
And just
are a priority.
and just like working out, Moot, I have
Mhm.
people because I work out since I'm 50, whatever, eight today, whatever. Since I've been 25, I've worked out. And I
Mhm.
find the time because I know the importance of being healthy
Yes.
and letting go of the stress and moving that energy because stuck energy only gives you illnesses and disease.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. So if you don't know that, look it up. It's called Louise Hayes. She brought
Mhm.
it to the forefront.
That's
And
right.
that's so important. So when people say, oh, I don't have time to work out, I'm
Mhm.
like, really? No, I work. I start at 8. I don't really. So if a doctor told you you're going to die in 3 months if you don't start hitting the ground and stretching, would you do it? Oh, yeah, of course. Okay,
Okay.
then that's how you have to look at this.
That's right.
That's what you have to look at.
And we have to make ourselves a priority. We're the most
Yes.
important person in our own universe.
Yes,
No one is going to make that happen but us. That's it.
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying that we don't have enough coaches because look at what you just said. Even though I had a client this weekend and I texted him today and I said, hey, by now you should have done this, and this. How much of that have you gotten done? And he was so excited. He said, I've gotten all but one you
Wow.
know and that is inside of that. You give that person a chance to say, wow, I did that. Yes, you did that.
Yes.
I didn't do that. The only thing I did was ask, did you get it done? And
Yes.
now that feeling in itself makes you feel so good.
It's so beautiful. And they feel so good. They feel, man, I just love it. I was with a client the other day and she just like, oh my God, I feel a shift. I feel this breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so beautiful the way she sparkled, her eyes and everything about her, just like,
Don't you
and
love that? That is
you
the
have
most
no
amazing
clue.
feeling in the world to watch someone shift. And then their whole life, you could just see it. It's just going in a completely different direction. And that wasn't going to happen without some support.
Yeah. And that's why I go back to relationships and family
Yes.
because I mean, family that will tear you down in a minute
Hmm.
and not even think twice.
They don't even
And
think they're tearing you down,
they
Teresa.
have no clue. And I just let them know that, as family, we should stand for love.
Hmm.
And if there's an issue, then there's a conversation to be had, not condemnation. Let's get the cross. I'm going to nail you to that cross and I'm
Hmm.
going to hate on you. And then I'm going to tell my other sister what you did. I'm going to tell my brother. And, it's like, wait a minute, what happened to love in all of this? What happened to love?
What happened to love? And where is the love?
Where's the love? What
Mm-hmm.
happened to that love?
Mm-hmm.
So I even tell people that meet me for the first time, if they want to do business with me, you know what? I want you to know I'm not perfect.
No.
So if I should have a moment, I hope you are still there when I look up,
Mm-hmm.
because I will be here for you when you have your moment. And that's my commitment to my relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I want to continue to grow, and I want others to know that I'm not perfect, but neither
And
are
nor do
you.
we have to be. But here's the thing: even to be inside of a conversation of being perfect is just another way of not loving yourself.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, oh, when I lose 15 pounds, I'm gonna really love myself. When my stomach
Girl,
get flat, I'm gonna really love myself. When I
yes,
get my feet worked on, I'm gonna really no.
yes.
You who you are right now is the perfect you for you.
Mhm. Yeah,
All of that other stuff is just things we make up.
yeah. So true.
Now, let
So,
me ask you, have you ever been so heartbroken that you thought you would never love again?
um, absolutely. I would say, let's see, I'm trying to figure out which one really, left me.
Oh, you had that many?
Yeah, yeah, but nothing like I'm trying to get to that one, right? Because every,
Yes.
every breakup, even as a female, I'm a beautiful woman and I have great relationships with my friends who are female that I don't have today. And it hurts me to not have that.
Mm.
You understand? So it still hurts. Um, but when you say, anyone that may have really affected you, I would definitely say there was one. And I remember like sitting at my friend's table, just depleted and hurt.
Mm.
And I would just come to her house every day just to say hi. And she knew I was hurt. And we didn't really address it, but she allowed me to be around her.
Mm.
Isn't that something? And I was so young. I was like 19. I was so young.
Mm-hmm.
And little by little, I came out of it, but it was a really tough time for me. Um,
Did you all ever make amends?
no, because the person was a person that was, having many relationships and not being honest.
Mm.
So I knew in my heart that that was just a bad choice for me. Yeah,
Mm.
that was a really bad choice for me. And it hurt me because I didn't know that the person, or it was like my first real pain of another person entertaining himself with another female.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like it at all, and it hurt me. Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
how did I get over it? So I moved on, right? So God is good, and you, like I tell my clients, because most clients want to get over it right away. Like, I need you to help me. I need to get that to the answer. I need to move on because I got a lot of work ahead of me. No, you don't.
Mm-mm.
Feel,
Yep.
process,
Yep.
allow.
Yep.
Feel, process, allow.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And see, that was why I had to stop my life because, one of the things that I would do was just get over it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've been through that. Yeah, I've been through that. However, what we forget and we're being reminded of is that when we are going through things and even things that we call problems and challenges and trauma, those are things developing us. Therefore, our development, they're taking us to our highest good. Now, imagine that we go through that, and the only thing we're doing is pointing at the problem and wanting to get rid of it. We want to get over it. We don't want to feel it. We don't want to. I'm just gonna go on to the next thing. But did you learn the lesson? Did you learn
Exactly.
something about yourself?
Yeah.
Did you see your greatness in that?
Yes.
Did you humble yourself inside of that learning? Most of the time we
Absolutely.
don't. I know I didn't.
Yeah, that's like divorce. I always, Homeless Mind is the name of my book, and it's about that, right? So when trauma happens, divorce is traumatic,
Yes.
especially if you didn't see it coming.
Yes.
And then you have children. Now you got to deal with the number of children and your traumatic moment, right? You got six
Mm-hmm.
kids, that's 6 times the trauma.
Mm.
So you are now in a trauma situation, but instead of dealing with it, hiring a coach or psychiatrist to process it with you, you go into anger, you
Mm-hmm.
go into finding a lawyer, you go into spending all this money. Lawyers are probably, divorce lawyers are probably one of the richest people out there
Girl, come on. Right.
because you just don't want to hear it, and you
Mm-hmm.
just want a divorce, and I don't care how much it's going to cost, and I don't care, and yet you're in pain, you're losing weight, you're not eating. There's so much that happens, and what I have found in all my studies is that it's the same pain as losing a parent,
Oh, yeah.
losing a child,
Yes.
sometimes losing a
Yes.
dog.
Mm-hmm.
When something that you're familiar with is taken from you,
Yeah.
there's a disconnect in your spirit that there's no words to explain it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important that you reach for assistance in the process
Yes.
before you make decisions, as calling an attorney, as all of those things. And women that I coach that are going through the divorce, and they're now looking for a house. I got to find, well, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Take your time, find
Yes.
something to rent.
Yes.
Don't jump into major life decisions at a time that you're in crisis.
That's right. And give
Doesn't work.
yourself time to take care of yourself.
Yes,
Right.
the process to learn what part did you play in it? What didn't you
Mm-hmm.
see? What responsibility can you take? Because if not, you're just going to move on. You're going to find another man, and he's going to be just the same guy as the other guy because you didn't learn your lesson.
Yeah. Just different name.
Just a different body. His hair
Mm-hmm.
might be split down the middle. The other guy
Right.
had it on the side. you know?
Right. But the
So,
same lesson got to be learned. Get why?
gotta
Because you
learn.
didn't take time. And
Mhm.
and that's so good. I'm glad that you're saying that, Teresa, because even though when I started this work, I started out with young people, teenage boys, and then I moved into the business with women, mostly women in business. And then all of a sudden, my clients became men. 80% of my clients became men. And now, mostly what I work with are the coaches that coach,
Mhm.
who tend to be primarily women.
Mhm.
And it's almost like that same phenomenon that years ago where people said, oh, men don't work on relationships, just women do. But if that's the case, we have to use that to our advantage.
Yes.
That's not a criticism. That
That's
is
huge.
actually just the makeup of who we are. So then let's focus on the relationships,
Yeah.
starting with our children, starting
Yeah.
with our parents, our friends. What does that look like to focus on those relationships and help each other heal?
And that's the most beautiful thing. My parents are now deceased, and I remember my mom. I wrote this in my book, Homeless Mind, and I talk about that moment. Mood. I called you the next day, and wow, did I need to process? But
Mm-hmm.
I remember being with her, caring for her, and she kept waking up. Boy, does she get on my last nerve. And
Yeah,
that night, I yelled at her.
yeah.
And she just looked at me and said, "Why are you talking to me like this?" And I looked at her instantly, and I saw an 8-year-old, painful little girl talking to me.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, I'm
Mm.
sorry, mom, I'm sorry. And I got so clear that I still had some unresolved, resolve
Yes, you
issues
sure did.
with
That's
that
right.
woman.
Mm-hmm.
And I called you the next day and I said, Moot, I need to talk to you. And I processed with you. And I thank you for that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I want the world to know the importance of having a coach. You have to have someone that you feel that you can trust. And I always say that God actually put in front of you, right? God sometimes put people in front of you for you to be able to come through into your best you that you can be with compassion and empathy and not being so hard on yourself,
Mm-hmm.
only because you're able to process it with someone else. And the good thing about it, see, people think that you gave me the answers. Oh, yeah, it's nice to have someone that does a coach, and I'm sure she gave it. No,
No,
coaches don't give you the answers. You
no,
didn't give me the answer,
no. Mm-mm.
but you helped me to see how that pain was still inside of me, the pain of how she treated me when I was younger.
Yeah, and it's most of it is a sounding board because, and I think you said this earlier, how people just find the answers. They're talking and the answer just comes out of them.
Yes. They hear themselves.
They hear themselves.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, but
And
sometimes
they're,
you have to be
yes,
talking to somebody to do that
yeah.
in an open space too. Because one of the points that you made was the judgment. Like sometimes we don't realize how harsh we judge ourselves, but we also talk to people that judge us harshly. And
Yes,
those are dangerous things because when you're judging yourself, you're not loving yourself. Just like
yes,
when you're judging other people, you're not loving them.
exactly. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
All you can do is stand for love at the end. I mean, your personal relationship with yourself is the overall relationship you have with others.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So if you're hard on yourself, you're hard on on others. And that will be your husband and your children, and that's your sister, and that's your whoever. People at work.
Girl, listen. I just looked up. Oh my God, we have been having such a great time here on Master Force Radio, talking to the lovely Teresa Lugo. And Teresa, can you believe that we are almost at the 6 o'clock hour? Oh my
Um,
goodness.
great, great conversation. Yes.
I should say at the 2 o'clock hour, right? So let me ask you, please tell people the services that you offer. And we have mentioned Homeless Mind. Let them know where they can buy that book, how they can engage with you, and some of the things you have going on right now.
Yeah, so the name of the book is Homeless Mind, and it's my spiritual journey through pain, loss, and suffering after my father passed away, but only to find my true authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
So I take you on my journey of that process and share with you the beautiful people that my parents were. So I begin the book with the death of my dad. I ended up with the death of my mom. So it's a beautiful story. And I have a website. It's teresalugo.com. And on there are my services. If you'd want one-on-one coaching, there's a package there. I also am a Reiki master. I do long distance Reiki, so I can do it from the comfort of your home. I can be
Yes.
miles away. And we go into that spirit realm of connectedness, and we go through your beautiful body and we start finding those areas where you feel blocked or trauma. See, we don't know where those traumas are when we were young and we've been holding them in our belly, or we've been holding it in our liver, where we've been holding it. So Reiki is a very important tool. And if you have never heard of it, please look it up and find your local Reiki masters, no problem at all. But I also offer that on my website. And the book is on there also. So you're welcome to just click on the book and you can purchase the book. It'll be an ebook. So it's not the actual physical book, but the actual physical book will be on Amazon. So again, it's called Homeless Mind. And thank you, Moot, who helped me process that book. We went over that book so many times, and she was the editor of that book, and she just really, really helped me so immensely. So I'm just so deeply grateful to that. And so, what am I up to? So I continue my coaching, and my Reiki is not so important to me because I understand the importance of moving energy, staying healthy. And I have a nonprofit that I started in Puerto Rico. It's called Land and Heart Project. And what we do is we assist the farmers after Hurricane Maria. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I did go through the hurricane, and island suffered a lot. And I went into rescue mode and started raising lots of money to help the people, and started a nonprofit there to assist them in getting their crops back. And we raised money for that purpose to purchase the trees and the seeds, as well as physical labor. We get donations from other people to come in and not only bring their donations, but bring their physical arms to do some of the work on the farms, and help the farmers, sometimes with the building of a fence, or sometimes just chopping away. One time I was there, they asked me to watch their baby. The farmer herself, she's a female, and she just looked at me. She goes, "Do you mind if you just watch my baby?" I said, "Really?" She goes, "I need it so bad. I've been going through that postpartum."
Oh, yes,
And I said,
postpartum.
"Girl, you better go and swing. You better swing until you can't swing no more. I got this."
Mm,
And so we just never know what people need. So that's what I'm up to. And I'm writing my second book. My second book is about, you know, being in Puerto Rico and experiencing the different ceremonies, being part of the island, and how my spirit clicked with that island because I'm Puerto Rican. Both my parents are Puerto Rican. And so I'm talking a little bit about that journey, so that the diaspora, which are the people that are Puerto Rican that live in New York, Chicago, et cetera, can relate to what I'm feeling, because many of us haven't even visited the island. There's many people that
oh,
are Puerto Ricans that just buy the hat and the t-shirts and the cup, and but they've never been on the island. So it's a blessing to be able to start writing that part of my story, because God really brought me there to experience things that I would have never experienced. And I would have never been the person I am today had I not had that journey happen to me, which
yeah,
was my father. You
yes.
know, my
Such.
father brought me here.
And then
Yeah.
how can people reach you, Teresa?
So my email address is closetcoach2012 at Gmail. You may, if you have a closet that you would like some help with, I do long distance closet work. We do it over Zoom or FaceTime. You just show me what you got, and we go over it together, and we have fun, and I love it. You're doing me a favor. So if you're thinking, I don't want her to see my closet, please, you don't understand the passion that I feel about fashion, and the importance that I feel of you winning in your soul closet. And
Mm,
they're all connected. They're all connected. So, um, yeah, that's it. That's what's so. And if you, yeah, so that's probably the best way to get in touch with me is Closet Coach 2012, which was the year that I got certified as a coach,
mm.
at gmail.com.
And then you're on Facebook as Teresa Lugo. You're on IG as
Yeah,
Tatiana.
that's right. I always forget. I'm not a big social media person, but that's something I definitely have to work on, because I feel like I have so much to offer, so much to give in this area, and I think I need to dabble into that social media world. But I am on Instagram. It's the Teresa Lugo, and
Hmm.
then on Facebook I am Teresa Lugo. So it's TERE.
Very cool.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Teresa, for joining us on Master Force Radio today and talking about relationships. And we did. We talked about parents, We talked about family, we talked about children, siblings,
Yeah.
and friends. So I want to encourage everyone to go out and buy your book. Uh,
Thank
I actually know that the universe, God has always used books to minister to me, especially in my earlier years. Uh, I just read all the time because that was how um, my soul was saved.
you.
You
Yes.
the knowledge that that was shared with me went a long way to create the work that I do now, and I had no idea that it would be so prominent. You know,
Yes.
grateful.
Yes.
So I encourage you to read Teresa's book.
Thank you so much.
So I'm gonna sign out now. Any last words, Teresa? Anything else you need to say?
Just stand for love.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. I mean, when you're in the thick of it, when you're in the mud of it, when you don't know what else to do, just choose love.
Yeah.
Let love be the way. Let it guide you to the
Mm.
truth.
Now,
And it
isn't it
always works.
interesting? Because most of, as a guide you to the truth, most of us don't realize that we are not even using love to guide us.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing is that the Bible says that God is love.
Yeah. Yeah. God is love.
That's powerful, powerful. And to have an intimate relationship with God is to have an intimate relationship with self.
Yes. Yes,
Have
indeed.
it. It's in you. It's all in you. It's not in a building. It's not, it's in you. It's right there. And tapping into that every morning, just by breathing from your belly up and exhaling, allowing that to just go. I mean, I even with my clients tell them the same thing. Whenever you feel those triggers, because we didn't tap into those triggers, because those triggers are no joke. But
Hmm.
when you feel those triggers come up, breathe into that trigger.
And feel it. Let it
Let
talk
it
to you.
just speak.
Hmm.
Oh my God. And then choose love.
That's right. All right, everybody. Thank you, Teresa.
Yay.
And
Thank you.
next week we're gonna have. This is the second Tuesday, and we will be talking to Lotus Love, and our topic is health is wealth. And
Yes.
we are going to continue to expand ourselves and remember, master your life force. That is what we're here for. And we're going to end with you listening to Yearning by Ascend. See you next week, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much. God bless you all.